Hey y'all, welcome to Epiphany the podcast. Welcome to the first episode. I guess technically this is the pilot, so this is basically I'm just going to be introducing myself, explaining why I started this podcast and really just like letting you guys get to know me. I don't have like a set format on how I want this to go, only because I just want it to feel more like a FaceTime call, even though I'm the only one talking. But like, I just want it to be just chill. Like, I don't want it to be scripted or anything. I know like mentally, I know some of the talking points that I want to go over, but I really just want it to be chill. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. Thank you so much for tuning in. First of all, I actually really do genuinely appreciate a lot of like the support that I've already gotten for this podcast. If you're new here, first of all, yes, sorry. First of all, if you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Alyssa Rain, and I am your host. Excuse me, gotta cut that, cut my cough out. My name is Alyssa. I'm the host of this podcast. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. If you're new here, I started basically like introducing what Epiphany was December 1st. That's when I announced that I was starting this podcast and like what I wanted it to be and like my intentions behind it. So right now, Epiphany, if you go onto our Instagram page at the Epiphany, obviously it's where you're probably watching it right now. But I also have all the links in the description box for those of you who are watching the visual, what is it called? The visual format of this podcast. But yeah, it's kind of like a blog, I guess you could say. Like when I was trying to figure out what I wanted Epiphany to be, I was like, okay, I want to have a page where I can post just like my thoughts and ideas. But then I also wanted it to be a podcast. So I was trying to figure out how I would do both. If you know me personally, a lot of people, well, yeah, I guess you could say a lot of people know this about me, but I'm all for the aesthetics. Like I just love everything aesthetic. I feel like that's, what is it, subjective? Like aesthetics is personal to whatever person. But for me personally, like everything I do, I guess you could say, arguably, like it's all for the aesthetics. Like if you saw my apartment right now, I feel like you would kind of understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so if you go onto the Epiphany page, then you see like all the posts that I have kind of match the same sort of vibe. But then obviously I'm not only just, it's not just like a Pinterest board. Like it's a mood board, but I'm still pouring out like my thoughts, my ideas, my feelings, and just stuff that I feel like other people can relate to. So that's why I say Epiphany is like a blog slash mood board, but this hit y'all, sorry. But also a podcast. And yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot of things on this podcast. I'm really excited. Originally I wanted this podcast to be related to like self-discovery and individuality. Those are like my intentions behind it. And I still definitely want it to be that way, but I also realized that I don't want this to feel like too much of a self-help sort of podcast. Like, of course, I want you all to be able to relate to what I'm saying. And I personally think this podcast is really going to be that sort of like community space, because I feel like a lot of us are kind of like, we could relate to a lot of things that I'm going to be talking about. So I want it to be like a community space, and I will be like giving my advice and sharing my experiences related to like how I discovered, or how my self-discovery journey is going, and trying to become more independent and this, that, and the third. But I'm not going to be like, okay, y'all, welcome to Epiphany. Today, I'm going to show you how to turn your life around in 3 steps. Like, no, because I don't even have my life all the way figured out. So, you know, how would I be able to do that? But it's a growing process. And I feel like what better way to document it, but while also like relating to people that are probably going through the same thing, you know? So yeah, that was, I guess, like a little brief introduction as to what Epiphany is. Now let me explain who I am, because not everyone knows me. At least not everyone knows me personally. Yeah, not everyone knows me personally. So like I said, my name is Alyssa Rain. Rain is my middle name, but honestly, bless my dad for coming up with that name, because I actually like I love my middle name so much. A lot of any like thing that I've ever created or wanted for myself has always been like Rain. I don't know. I just really love the name. I think it's very fitting. My child will probably be named Rain. But anyways, I'm in my 20s, so if you're in your 20s, then that's what I'm saying. Like, we can really all relate to each other. Because being in your 20s is not easy. Like, dang. I'm in my 20s. I just finished my last semester, actually. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I just finished my last semester of college, of undergrad. Yeah, I graduate in May, in a few months. And I will be graduating with my Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology and African American Studies. Period. Yeah. Let's see. What about me do I want you all to know? Um, I I kind of want to explain like my creative passions, artistic passions. So I started creating videos and directing like little short films and stuff by myself, obviously. At a very young age. I think I was 8 when I got my first like iPad, or you know what? Maybe I'm lying. I might have been like 7 or 6. No, I was definitely like 7 or 8. Yeah. I got my first iPad, and I don't know if you all remember what Video Star is. I don't know if that was like just in like my community, but Video Star was that girl. Okay, everyone had a Video Star. If you had an iPad and you didn't have a Video Star, what were you doing? Like what? So I had Video Star and Video Effects Live. Video Star is basically just where you were like making music videos. Video Effects Live was the same thing, but it was like you're creating your own content. So it's basically just like you had an iPad and you were using it as your camera. Um, so I used to make like little videos on my iPad. At first, I started making like Get Ready With Me. It wasn't called Get Ready With Me back then. It was like my makeup routine because I grew up watching like Bethany Moda. Who else? Oh my God, who else is? I can't really think of them right now. But all the beauty gurus. If you were a girl, okay, and you were watching beauty guru videos in like 2012, then you know what I'm talking about. So those people. But I used to try to make like makeup routines and stuff like that. And then I also started creating my own like short films. And I literally would just like I watched a lot of movies when I was younger. So I guess I would like kind of get inspiration from watching those movies, and I would literally like sit down and script my own little short film, record it on Video Effects Live, and then show it to my family. Um, and I think they saw it more as just like I don't know, I'm an 8-year-old. I'm just having fun. But funny enough, my brother really like, he saw it as like, oh wow, like she really enjoys making videos. He used to think I was gonna grow up to be a director. When we talk about my my career aspiration journey, like he was not wrong. It's very fitting, but how I got there, ciao. Um, So yeah, I grew up watching those videos, or I'm sorry, making those videos. And I don't know, it was always literally just something that I had fun doing. Like I was just making videos just because I had fun doing it. And I would edit it myself and everything. So then once I got a little bit older and I started to tell my mom that like I really enjoyed filming and making videos, she got me my first camera. I don't remember what my first camera. Oh my gosh. Do you guys remember that little white, can I insert a picture? Well, no, because not everyone's still watching the visual form. But it's like this white vertical camera. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. But I used to have one of those. And I was making videos on there. And then I got my first like HP PC laptop. And I downloaded different like editing programs. Literally jailbroke. Oh my God. If the government is listening, just skip over this. But I like jailbroke my laptop to get Final Cut Pro on a PC. I downloaded Final Cut Pro. Let's be for real. Like, why did I do that? I don't know. But I downloaded that and I was like literally teaching myself how to edit these videos. And I'm not going to lie, I was not bad at it. Like, obviously, I had to watch videos on like getting tutorials as to how to use certain things because I'm literally just an 8-year-old. And no one in my family really has this like background in like media or anything. Like my dad is very much like a scientific background and my mom is more like she's good with numbers and like accounting and stuff like that. My brother used to draw. He used to have his own clothing. Was it clothing? Yeah, like clothing brand. So my brother has like an artistic skills. He can draw and stuff, but aside from that, like no one in my family had a background in media. So where this birthed from, I have no idea. Probably just growing up in the early 2000s, and you know, social media and technology just developing. That's probably why. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing it. So I started to make my own videos, edit my own videos, blah blah blah. And then once I started to get older and I kept being asked the question, like, what do you want to do in your life? I don't know if this is applicable to everyone. So I don't really want to generalize this completely, but I guess I'll say from my experience in a black household, like saying that you want to go into film or saying that you want to make a career out of anything related to like media studies and film, like, of course my parents were supportive in everything I did, but they didn't really see that as being like a career journey. So, um, I guess you could say like my passion was still there, but I had a less drive to continue to like pursue it and to see how far I could really take it. Cause I was like, oh, I guess I can't make a job out of this. So like, why bother? Which is unfortunate, but everything happens for a reason and comes full circle. Cause look at me now, So like everything happens for a reason. Again, I got older, and I think high school is when I created like my first YouTube channel. And I was so scared, y'all. I was so afraid to like start YouTube because I loved, like, I used to watch people like Alyssa Howard and Aslia Williams and Aaliyah Henderson, but I just never, I didn't feel like it was attainable. Like I didn't know if like their platforms, their level of like success in their platforms was attainable for me. So I used to be very inconsistent in creating content because I was just like, well, like I uploaded this video, where's my 40K? Like that's how I used to be. Um, and it was so apparent that like I was making videos to like get a platform rather than making videos because I enjoyed making videos. So I feel like that's why I was so inconsistent, because I was just doing it for immediate gain. And that's something that I used to struggle with very heavily, was like just struggling with self-discipline, because I used to be the type of person that would want immediate satisfaction. And that's like really obviously clearly not a really, that's not a good quality to have, because you don't really have like any work ethic or like drive or a sense of like persistence when you're like that, because you just want everything to come to you easy, and that's not how life is. For example, last year or maybe earlier, and oh my gosh, I knew I was gonna do this. Happy New Year, y'all. I apologize. It is December 31st. For those of you watching the visual form, you could see it is December 31st. But today, uploading this, is January 3rd. January 3rd. So happy New Year. Happy 2024. I hope you all have an amazing 2024 and achieve all of the goals that you have for yourself. I really meant to say that at the beginning, so my bad. But anyways, so in 2023, I was taking like a lash course because I was trying to I was trying to learn how to do lashes because I wanted to make that like a side hustle. So I literally took a class. It was like a weekend class. I literally dropped like, not even me, my mom invested in me for this. I apologize, Mom. She spent $1,000 for me to take this class. Which, first of all due respect to all of the entrepreneurs, okay? But I took a class and I didn't even get a signature on my certificate. Like, okay. Anyways, so I took a class for lashes. It was a 2-day class, and I got to practice like on the model, and then the next day I got to practice on an actual person, which was my cousin. And I was decent at it. Like, she had lashes on her face when she left. And then for a few days later, like I kept practicing, trying to perfect my craft. And then I gave up. And I was like, I don't have the patience to do this. I don't want to have to practice every day, blah, blah, blah. And that was because I didn't have the discipline to sit there and teach myself to like lock in and perfect a craft. Like I just wanted to be good at it right away. And that's like, clearly that's not how it is. Some people are blessed enough and like lucky enough to have that and just be like talented in certain things. But if you want to do something and it's like, it's not really in your comfort zone and it's not anything you've done before and you're expecting to be good at it right away, like why would you do that? That's not how it is. That's not how it works. So I was struggling in that area because I was like, dang, like I guess I'm gonna just keep giving up on everything then. If I like don't just sit down and like lock in and have the patience to actually try to perfect my craft at something. And it took me a little while to like be self what's the word? To like hold myself accountable for doing that, and like that being a struggle area for me. So now I'm a little bit, well, I'm not, honestly, I'm a lot better at it. I feel like now I have learned to enjoy the process of growing instead of trying to rush the process of going. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes I get anxious. Sometimes the process of getting better at something or building something is not fun. Like sometimes I'm like, why can't I just be great right away? But now I've learned to like really enjoy getting to that point. I'm sorry if there's a lot of cuts. I keep coughing because my throat is just acting up. I have I have iced coffee. And it's not even iced. I literally went to McDonald's. My New Year's resolution is to completely stop drinking caffeine. So I got a large iced coffee today on December 31st. Girl math, you know? But yeah. So yeah, that's a skill that I have learned to get better at, or that's an area in my life that I'm learning to get better at, is being more patient and enjoying the process of becoming better at doing things, and just birthing things. So before I talk about epiphany and like my whole the way this came about, I kind of want to explain like the before process of that. So obviously this podcast is related to self-discovery and individuality. earlier this Earlier last year, January 2023 was so difficult for me. I was just not in a good headspace. I was living on campus at school, which was really good for me, because just being like living technically on my own, that was a good thing for me. But aside from that, mentally, I just was not doing well because I literally had no understanding of like myself. I I I can confidently say now that during that period of my life, I didn't really know who I was, and who I wanted to be. So it was a constant like mental battle for me, because I was like, who am I? What do I want to do with my life? Like, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time in college, blah, blah, blah. And it was a really difficult time. I was struggling with like maintaining friendships and balancing friendships. Also just like struggling to talk through things. Um, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, I guess, probably when I talk like on an episode that's more related to friendships and stuff. But I guess briefly, I just want to say that I was struggling in maintaining friendships because I was used to be quick to cut people off, y'all. I can't even hold you. I feel like a lot of people are like that though. Like that's not always a bad thing. Cause yes, if you do one thing to disrespect me, you're clipped. Like I'm sorry. But at the same time, if you have a minor inconvenience with a friend and it's a disagreement, why are you cutting each other off? I don't know. I feel like it depends. Each situation, it depends, you know? But yeah, so it was just a really hard time for me. And then when the summer came, I literally had an epiphany, hence the name of this podcast. I literally had an epiphany. I was reading every day self-help books, and I know a lot of people think self-help books are so corny. They are for the most part, but sometimes you really like learn a thing or two when you read them. Some of my favorite self-help books are The Four Agreements. I'm actually going to reread that entire book tonight. The Four Agreements, I love that book. And You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Those two are my favorite. Oh, and The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Also love that book. Those three books are my favorite. If you're looking to start somewhere and if you're not really too fond of the idea of reading, those three books are actually like enjoyable to read, and it feels like you're like talking to the person. So I would definitely recommend those three if you want to get into reading self-help books. But yeah, I was spending a lot of time outside. Also, I actually discovered during the summer that like I love nature and I just love being outside. Usually when the sun is out, not like if it's raining, I still love it. I just don't feel like my highest self. But when it's the summer and I'm like by the pool or I'm at the park and I'm just seeing all the birds chirping and all the greenery. I love trees. I don't know why. But I look at trees as more of like an artistic thing being. I don't even know if that makes sense. I guess it doesn't have to make sense to everyone. But yeah, I discovered that. And I think because I had no sense of responsibilities, like, first of all, I was unemployed at the time. So obviously, no job, no responsibility. I also was living with my parents, which there's no problem in that. I was 20 years old. Um, but I had a lot more freedom and like liberty to just not really have to focus and do anything because I didn't have any responsibilities. So the only thing I was doing was focusing on myself and figuring out how I could become better because I didn't want to just sit in the house and do nothing and like rot away. So I was just trying to figure out how to be better. I was going to the gym consistently, literally every single day. Like life was good and it was starting to become better. I think at the beginning of it, I mean, it was so inconsistent, but eventually over the summer I was like single. So I literally was just pouring into myself completely because I had nothing else to necessarily pour into. So during this time reading all these books, I don't know, I just had an epiphany. I was like, I'm gonna take my life into my own hands. I'm not going to continue to allow other people's opinions and the goal or like the what is it called? I guess the way other people perceived me. I was like, I'm not going to continue to allow that to impact who I want to be. Because y'all, if anyone else is struggling with this and you're like, well, I don't want to disappoint my parents, so I'm going to go into this career field. Or you're like, well, my friends are going to think I'm weird if I do this. Like, just take a second and be by yourself for a second and literally just listen to yourself breathe and think about the fact that if I continue to live my life to satisfy others, then it's not my life to live. You feel me? Like, if you're not living your life doing what you want to do and waking up and being like, hey, what do I want to do today? What's going to make my future self proud or happy or whatever? And you're doing it and you're like, well, what is Joey going to think if I post this picture? Who cares? Do you like the picture? Then post it, you know? So that was something that I had to like learn for myself. And I did in the summer. I was like, I don't care anymore. This is my life, so I'm gonna do what I want to do. And I'm so glad that I had that epiphany because of that, I was able to start creating things and being confident in creating things that I wanted to share with others. So, but during this time, I still kind of was struggling with this like self-discipline aspect of doing things. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start a clothing brand because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But then I was like, okay, well, what am I going to call it? And how do I learn about this? And that's the part I didn't want to do. I didn't feel like learning how to get manufacturers and learning how to draw on Adobe Illustrator myself. Like, I didn't want to do that because I didn't have a drive really to do that because that wasn't like my purpose, you know? I didn't enjoy it, so I didn't feel the need to pour into it. But then I was like, okay, well then what do I want to do? And like I said, since I was a little girl, I always loved doing YouTube, literally just for the fact that I like talking to a camera. I like being in front of the camera, and I like the process of filming and bringing an idea to life and editing. Editing is actually literally my favorite thing to do. I'm not going to lie. That's why, partially, I didn't want to like make it a career or like a job because I really do enjoy the process of editing and like making something and seeing the ending result. And but when you like have to do it every day in order to get a video out at a certain time, like it starts to become a little less enjoyable. So that's why I'm definitely going to post in moderation if/when I get back to YouTube, because I don't want to get burnt out and like fall out of love with the process of editing. But yeah, I was like, okay, well, I love editing. I love filming and making videos. So why don't I start a podcast? And then also, I've always been more so like a wallflower. I've started to try to teach myself how to like grow out of that and become more comfortable in being in like community spaces and making friends and blah, blah, blah. But like most of the time, I'm a wallflower. I enjoy solitude. I love keeping to myself and just like, yeah, that's really it sometimes. But sometimes isolation is not good, you know? So I know how to balance it now. But at the same time, I feel like starting a podcast was so fitting for me because I don't really share my business with people besides like my boyfriend. Like I don't, or like I have like two close friends that I'm confident enough that like I can share my goals with you, and you're not gonna try to sway me one way, or you're not gonna make me feel crappy for like wanting to pursue something completely different. My one friend, she knows who she is. Like I can't even say like my sister, it literally is my sister. But I'll tell her things and like she keeps it like blunt. So if I tell her I have an idea, sometimes she'll entertain it and sometimes she'll be like, "Oh, cool." Because like what's it called? The cards haven't shown that I've been consistent enough to actually like go through with doing stuff. So I can't even knock her for like being about that, But at the same time, she's not like the type of person that's like, "Oh, like, do you really think you're gonna," she doesn't like disencourage me. But I feel like if you have friends that are always, of course, your friends should always support you. But if you have someone that's like never questioning like your process of doing something or your reasons for doing something, and they're just like blindly, I guess you could say, supporting you, then maybe you should reevaluate if that's someone that you want to be your friend. But anyways, yeah, so I keep a lot to myself besides like the few people that I do share things with. And although I think that's good because telling people your business is not always the smartest thing. Like you don't want people can allow their insecurities or self-doubts to make you feel bad for having goals. So I'm very careful who I tell my business to. But starting a podcast, I feel like I don't even really have to be telling you guys word for word my business. You guys don't like know certain things or like like certain people that I associate with. So it's okay for me to talk about an experience because you don't know who that person is. And at the same time, maybe you'll be able to relate to anything I'm sharing. And that's really why I feel like a podcast is so fitting because a lot of people, I feel like, we're saying stuff on social media and we think our life has to be a certain way, but no one ever wants to keep it a bean and keep it a buck about like, I'm actually really struggling. Yeah. Like everyone posts like a productive day in my life, but then no one's showing you that they were crying this morning. Like, come on, be for real. So I don't know. I guess that's just why that was a lot of information, but that's why I felt like Epiphany was so fitting and I wanted to create it. And I really hope that this podcast does feel like a safe, I can't say that, I don't want to get copyrighted or copyright strike, but it's a communal space. I want everyone to feel like they can relate and take something from this, but also share your ideas, like interact. Let me know how you feel about something. If you disagree with something, let me know. Like, why not? Maybe it will be featured on the next episode. So yeah. I'm really excited for this podcast though. I genuinely am. I'm excited to finally have like the self-discipline to stick to an idea that I have and not starting something and being like, dang, I'm not seeing the results now, so I'm going to stop. And what's crazy is when I first started the Epiphany page, I've already gotten like 20 more followers and I've only been posting like the pictures that I told you guys about. Obviously, like I said, like there's substance to them because I'm pouring out like ideas and thoughts and whatever, but still like you guys not even like see who I am or like hear anything I have to say on the podcast and you're still supporting me like that, that's actually very encouraging. Because it's like, okay, I should keep going because some people want to hear what I say. Also, so many people have DM'd me and being like, asking when I'm going to drop the first podcast. Like, it's just encouraging. And it just makes me feel good because it's like, wow, people actually care what I have to say. Little old me, they really care what I have to say and my opinions and thoughts. But yeah, this podcast is about 25 minutes long so far. And I don't want to talk your guys' ears off because episodes will be launching every Wednesday at 5 a.m. Obviously, you don't have to listen to them at 5 a.m. I will probably be asleep. Not gonna lie, I will be dreaming. But if you guys want to watch it on your way to work, if you go to the gym and you want to listen to a podcast, it's gonna be available on every platform. And this first episode you guys will see, because I'm gonna have like a link on the Epiphany Instagram, with like everywhere you can listen to it. But yeah, if you are more so of the person that just wants to listen to me talk and doesn't really care to see me, then Spotify podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, I think just those, you can listen there. But if you're a more visual person and if you want to talk on the phone, girl, if you want to have a FaceTime face to face, then watch YouTube. Go to the link and watch the visual format of this podcast. I feel like either ones are fitting. I mean, either ones are cool. Like, you can hear the authenticity, you know? But yeah, thank you guys truly so much for supporting me. I'm really excited for this new endeavor, this new creation that I have. It's going to be really fun, I think. You can expect literally, we're going to talk about anything, to be honest. Like I said, I do want to talk about like independence, people like trying to find or what's the word, attain independence in their life. So I'll be talking about like how I built the confidence to tell my parents about my career change journey, or why I moved out, and how that has been living on my own, and friendship breakups, and how I grew from removing certain people out of my life or people removing me out of their life, stuff like that. Relationships, girl talk. I also do eventually want to bring other people onto this podcast, because I feel like it would be cool to have like conversations. Let me know if you guys think this is like just an idea that I had, but I feel like I want to ask like some guy friends things you want to know about girls, and then what girls don't know about guys. Does that make sense? Yeah. Stuff like that. So it's going to be a little bit of everything. It's not going to be so like structured and always going to be talking about self-discovery stuff. Like, we can talk about, I don't know, movies that, or albums that are flopping this week. I don't know. Literally anything. But definitely let me know your guys' thoughts on this first episode. Give me your feedback, please, because I really do. I would love to hear it. And when I say feedback, that doesn't just mean saying like, girl, I love your podcast, it was so good. Obviously, I would hope so. But if you guys think that my voice is too high, or if you think that I'm rambling too much and not staying on cue, like, let me know that too. Because that's how you grow. Like, constructive criticism is helpful. So yeah, I think that's all. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in to that pilot episode of Epiphany, the podcast. I will see you all next Wednesday at 5 a.m. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Epiphany. And subscribe if you're watching it on YouTube. Yeah, I think that's all. Love you guys all so much, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye, guys. Cut.